Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is. I'm glad you're here. So, I'm going to do a little talk about some type of books you can look for, and then I'm going to show you some examples of things you can do with them to kind of think about what you can find for inexpensive or things you already have around and kind of looking at them in a different way. So I grabbed a couple of examples. I'm holding these at an angle right now because of the light, because it's getting that haloing from my light right now. I need to do something different with the lighting in here. I'm working on it. We're coming together with the studio. There's going to be some more work done this week. I'm very excited. My partner's dad is coming this week, and they're coming to visit. And they're going to do some work on my craft room here, my studio, and I'm excited. So I'm going to get my pegboard up, and one full wall is going to get a redo here, so I'm excited. Anyway, let's get into it. So these are books. This one is on evergreens. This one is on roses, lawns, and ground covers. You might see these are Time Life books. You might see these at I got these at Goodwill, other types of thrifted places, things like that. And you might think, oh, well, what am I going to do with that? That's what we're going to talk about today. So just on a quick peruse through some of these, you might think, oh, it's nothing. Or maybe there's a few things I can use. But then once you start looking at them and trying to reframe them in different ideas, you're going to start seeing things differently. Because look what these had in the back. These are amazing. I love it. Love it. And I haven't even looked through these books a bunch yet, but just kind of giving you an example. And this one is on evergreens, for Pete's sake, and it's gorgeous. So just kind of wanted to show you these quick. Here's the one on roses. Same thing. Gorgeous. Gorgeous panels, gorgeous photos. Oh, extra piece of paper. We love that. But look, we have some other interesting things in these books that you wouldn't necessarily think of. Gorgeous rose pictures. These are absolutely fantastic. I love roses. I use them. I used to use them all the time and stuff because I had some gorgeous rose books. So I love finding more stuff with roses. And yeah, so that's kind of a quick. And then here's the last one. And we're actually I'm going to use this one because I thought this one might be the one that is the most dull. Lawns and ground covers. You might see that and think, oh, that's not going to be anything interesting. But I'll tell you what, you would be wrong. Look at these ground covers, all of these, and then they have information about the plants and stuff like that in them. So great book. And then a bunch of other things that we can use. Some but this one has a lot more things in it than I was thinking. And these are weeds, but they're still beautiful. They're still beautiful. Because it's talking about a lawn. So these books, let me see. And look at this. These great old reproductions that are in the front. We can use those for some stuff too, can't we? So these books were made, let's see if we have some info here. Just look, these were 1971. Okay, so they're still copyrighted. But once you own a book, you can do whatever you want to it. You can chop it up. You can do whatever you want because it's yours. You just can't make copies and reproductions. So if you want to cut images out and use them for stuff, you go ahead and do that. So then how do you break a book down? So we're going to get into that next so I can start showing you things. So first of all, if I know what the book is, and this is a glued binding, so the pages are glued into the spine, and some of these books are better to do this than others and work better. So I like to kind of find a spot in the middle, and I'm gonna kind of pull the binding apart a little bit and give it a good push and a wiggle. Sometimes you can do it from the middle and it works really well. Sometimes you can do it from the front and it works really good too. So we're just gonna see. So normally this is called the flyleaf, and it's usually adhered to that first page. So you can give these a good pull like this to kind of get them to separate. And generally, this is glued way down in here. So I will take a blade or a scissors and just give it a little bit of a cut to make it easier to tear. And then I will tear it out. So then here's your first thing that you can get from these books, the flyleaf paper. So you have a big piece of plain, sometimes these are patterned, and you can use this as a page in your journal. You can use this as the back of journaling cards or whatever. There's so many options, and usually these papers are a little bit thicker. They sometimes have a texture. It really depends on what kind of book you have, but don't throw them away, because I mean, that's a great piece of paper right there. So that's tip 1. Next, we're gonna keep on keeping on here, and I'm gonna start breaking down this a little bit so I can show you how easy it is to start pulling these out. Okay, same thing. So next tip, these big open spaces, also great. So these are a little bit shiny. Some people don't like working with glossy pages. I don't mind. It's really gonna be up to your personal choice, what you find. Also, side note, Bunny is out right now, so you might hear some background bippity bopping, and I threw some extra stuff in his basket for him to dig around on, so he's having a good time. So all of this blank space can be used for that too. So that's tip 2. And then this is what I do with these guys. I just start, and I like it if I can get them all the way down to that spine so I'm not tearing the edge of the pages. And this one is not as flexible as the first one, so it probably wasn't used as much, but I really bend that binding a little bit to start getting it open. And once I do that, it'll kind of give me a good spot to start pulling those pages out, because I would rather just tear them from where the adhesive is, but that doesn't always work. So let's try a spot in the middle. The first one that I did in this bundle went really, really well. So I kind of pinch and pull, give it some flex, and see if we can't start getting these out. And it's not gonna work today, so that's fine. It is what it is. So I'm just gonna start from the front here and start pulling some pages out. So we've already gotten 2 little tips for what we can do with these books to start thinking outside the box. And I do like to kind of stack them on how they were in the book. And I like to break down an entire book at a time. So that's what I'm doing. So next, tip 3, look at your words, because you can use your words on these pages to basically, so lore, that would be a good one. Take care. And you can break the words up. So then you have some text that you can use in some of your things as well. So there we go. So we're already on to 3 tips, and see this one's starting to tear where it wants to. And then, yeah, same thing, the lore of lawns. And then we have a big number 1, so you can cut out your numbers too. Lots of different things you can do. I really wish this one was gonna behave itself and come out really well. That just doesn't always happen, not in the cards today. Maybe once we get started a little bit more, it will. Let me set these off to the side. So this is something I like to do if I'm watching TV, because I don't really need to pay attention a great deal to what I'm doing, because I'm just kind of looking at the pages so I can watch a show or whatever. Generally watch a lot of YouTube. Actually, with my partner, we have some YouTube channels we like to watch together, generally cooking and stuff like that, but a few other things too, some history stuff and whatnot. So pulling these, okay, now these ones I want to make sure we get in as close as possible. So basically that's what you're doing. You're just going to keep tearing these glued pages out and see, I want them to come out like this. If you can see that, that's the glued in edge. But this book probably wasn't used very much, so it didn't get a lot of flex, which happens. But I got this whole series at a Goodwill. So there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that I saw on the shelves, and some of them were tucked behind things. And at first I was just going to grab a couple of them, and then my partner, he said, hey, look, there's a couple more over here. What do you think about this? And he's getting fantastic about how he's like, hey, look at this book. Hey, look at this book. You should really get this book. And the whole time I'm like, oh, I have enough books. I have enough books. But then he handed me one, and then he showed me this, and I was like, oh, I'm sold. Because these are the kind of things that I look for quite often in books, are these fantastic. Like, look, that's a lily of the valley right there. So that's some fun stuff. Okay, maybe we're gonna come loose back here more. Let's find out. You wanna come free, friend? You wanna come free? Join the party? Not exactly. They still want to tear out, but that's fine. I just don't want to tear into the text because I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with some of that in a little bit. So basically that's what you do. This is a glued style book, so we just start tearing the pages off, or if you can break the binding down so that you can completely start tearing them off, that works really well. And then you'll have a whole stack. Another thing you can do is you can cut it from the spine. This one is glued. I'm trying to look at it so I can explain well. This one is glued really well into the spine. Of course, I could use this cover. This cover can be used for something else too. And I do reuse covers for other things. But yeah. So there you go. So that's, and see, beautiful, beautiful pictures here that we can use for other stuff. So next, I'm going to start showing you some things that I've made with another one of these. Since I showed you how to break it down, now we'll move on to what we can do with the things inside it. So I'm going to set this off to the side, and then we're going to come back to this friend and maybe find some things in this to show you how to make. So, or a different one. Okay, so I'm going to grab this here. So here you go. This is the one that I started working in because some of the pictures in it I knew matched the botanical field style journal that I'm making. So I wanted to start making that. So see, you can see all of this came out. So that is the edges of our pages. They came right away from that spine. You could try heating them a little bit if you wanted to try and like get that adhesive to loosen up. But you do you, boo. Find the way that works best. So once again, your fly leaf, great page to work with. Big open plain stuff. So that was tip 2. And then let's move on. I'm trying to grab my stack here. I have a whole stack of stuff that I made. Scoot my little tray table over so I can reach it better. Okay, I made a whole stack of things to kind of show what we can start doing. So next, full pages for your journals. So actually, I think what I'm going to do is I will grab the book and try and give you examples from that. So I'll have examples from this book that I'll show, and then I'll pull them from the other one to pull different things so you can kind of see a variety. Okay, so this is the perennial book that I used to make the pages that I'm going to show you. And then this is the lawn and ground cover one, and I'm going to show you similar things that you can do with them. So we did the fly leaf, we did some plain paper. I talked about words, so I'm going to pull the words out that I had. So here's some of the words, and then don't forget your page numbers. Those can come in handy for some things too. So cutting off your little page numbers can come in handy for other little things as well. So there's tip 3, I think. Tip 3, I think. Yeah. All right, so next. This is an example of a spliced book page. So say you find a couple things, you like the whole page spread out that is in here, but it's a glued book. What do? So you can splice those 2 pages together using tape, using fabric. You can use whatever you want. So let's find an example in this lawn book of something that would work great. Oh, see, perfect. Right here, classic example. I love it. So these 2 pages would be beautiful. Oh my goodness, he is having the zooms. He is zipping around. I had a big box and I cut it into a tunnel for him. So these 2, I would tidy up the center. So I would trim that center down, and then you could splice them together to make a beautiful book page. So you could use clear tape, you could use a fun ribbon, you could use washi, you could just overlap them, you could sew them, and that would make a fantastic addition to a journal for pages. Okay, so there's an option for pages. I'm going to set that off to the side. Next, another version of pages. So we could just find a page this way. So we just take a regular page and find something maybe a little interesting, or you could do plain text. So let's find one of those in here to show what would look fun sideways. This would look fun sideways because we'd have some interesting texture on this one, and it wouldn't necessarily matter what it looked like, because sometimes we're going to put things over them in our journals. But look at that. Now we've turned it sideways to fit into a journal, and you have a completely different background. So you have this great background here, and then on this side, really interesting background. So imagine that with some stencils or some other little ephemera on top of there. And then we have in here, we have a little bit of text, we have some words, something interesting here. You have a blank spot that could be perfect for journaling. I like having random blank spots on pages for some journaling, and then decorating around it. So next option there. So there we go. All right, then the page that goes the long way. So of course we can tear it down to fit into our journal, or if you have a really tall journal, if you're doing one of those new style of inside out journal where the cover is smaller and the pages get bigger and bigger as you go, perfect. So let's find something fun. And so all of these things are going to be fantastic, but I think I want to use one of these because these are great. And then we have this on the back side. That is beautiful. What's on this side? Also beautiful. So let's do this one with the ferns and this sedum. I love this kind of sedum. It's so pretty. I really like succulents and different types of ground covers. So this is kind of a fun book. All right, so now we're going to give this fun friend a fold here to show you another type of page. So these are the simple, easy ones that I'm doing right now. So that would look great. So we got some ferns on that side, ground cover on this side too, and then open it up and you have some fantastic fun stuff there. So there's another idea. I don't even know what we're on. So there's so many ideas. So this is the third page idea. So 3, 4, flyleaf, blank page or blank area. So I think we're on 6. I don't even know. 6, 7, something. Okay, next. Using a big image to make an envelope. So we have this style of envelope. Funny, it's nudging on my foot. Stinkerton, I'm sitting here. You can't tell me to move. So this, I like to put these kind in my books so that they overlap a page and then they flip up. Oh, and I did this side backwards. Biscuits. So maybe I won't do that. We'll see. Because normally I like to make them so when you flip them up, this would be right side. And I did this backwards. So maybe I'll just put this as a tuck into a pocket, which is also fine. And then I'll decorate a little bit more on there. So this is just a regular seed style envelope. I think I've done a tutorial on these, friends, but let's just see what we can find for this one. What are you doing, Pix? Being a knucklehead. Such a goofball. So this could be interesting. I know it's testing pH for soil, but let's just see what we find for one of these. I mean, honestly, that's kind of fun as a seed packet envelope, because you can add different things over top of it. So let's see what else we have that might be interesting. We get into these friends, which I will tell you and I give you an idea for those in a little minute. These might be kind of cool. These kind of black showing how grasses creep. That's kind of interesting. Let's try one of those maybe. Let's do this because I think it makes a fun background and it's a little bit different than what you'd expect. So once again, so seed style envelope, really quick. You're going to fold it into thirds. Nothing super fancy. You could use a more interesting picture. These have nice little guidelines for lines on them. So let's follow those as much as we can. So, seed style envelope, like so. And then you flip up your bottom. Hopefully you can see this. I know it's black on black. Here, let me find a white page. Okay, there we go. So, fold up the bottom. Figure out where you want your top to go. So fold, fold, like so. And then we do some fun cutting. There's different ways to make these. This is how I make mine. I'm going to glue down here. So I'm gluing where it overlaps the whole way. My glue is behaving itself today. So glue all of that. Oop, glue all of it flat. Make it nice and flat. I'm trying to do this fast so I can cover all the things that I wanted to do. So then next, what I do, might have to wait a second for that glue to dry. I like to fold them where you have your seam together. So, or your, yeah, I have to wait for that to dry. Answers. Wait for it. I'll try the bottom first because it doesn't. I should have used my glue stick. That might have been faster. All right, so this is the bottom. And I wanted to make it a little shorter. So I'm going to cut this really low. Come into the corner where I have my fold line. And then same on this. And then I make like a little bit of a little... Ooh, doesn't need, it can go more flat. So that just needs to cover there and there. Then we'll glue that down there. Okay. So let's just glue stick that friend really quick. And that's it's gonna be fine. It's gonna glue in the bottom a little bit, but that's okay. Top edge, super simple. So you're getting all kinds of fun tips today for stuff. I should have started my little timer. I've been trying to time my videos so I know how long I'm sitting here. Got myself a little stopwatch kind of situation. Okay, so then I pinch these so I know where the line is. This is my flat on the top. This is where the bottom is it flips down. So here, and you can use fun, funky scissors. So same thing, going down to that point I made. And then we want a thumb spot where we can get into our pocket. So basically you make kind of a curve and then pop it back open. And now you have a little envelope. So another option, another variation. So you could add more decoration on the front. You could add decoration on the back. You could paper clip it closed. You could put things on it, like anything. So basically I'm showing you how to use the pictures in the book that you have. So that's the next one that we did. Okay. So then we have an envelope this way. So this was also out of that perennials, and then I turned this image into a very large envelope. So this is to match my field style journal that I'm making. But there it is. Here's the flap here. And then this just closes. So you would just need another big image that you like, or you can use the text and do something that way. So kind of up to you. So let's find one that might look interesting as an envelope, or maybe a little bit different that you'll be like, huh, I wouldn't have thought of that. But you know what? Let's use this page because it might be interesting. So same thing. You can trim with your trimmer. There's different things that you can do here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this part into the top flap. So I'm going to make this top flap a little smaller, like so. So this is just a 3-fold design, simple, easy envelope. You can do this with any kind of book page. Then our top bit is going up like this. And you can have these oriented to whichever way you want. So the fun thing about this is once we turn this over, that in and of itself is an interesting background that you wouldn't necessarily think about lawns, right? So it's a fun background that you can add some different things to. Now you just glue here and here or so, and then decorate. So that's our next little, well, because that's basically all this envelope is, same thing. Find an image you like, pull it out, and fold in thirds. And you can do whatever size of these you want. So there's the next one. Okay, moving right along here. We have options for pockets, ephemera, and things like that. So tons of things in these. So I'm going to go back to this part where I pulled this friend out. So these, obviously great for cutting out to make into ephemera. So we can trim down our pictures. I kept their little names with them. So if you're not going to use them right away, I would say keep them in the book if you plan on keeping the name with them. Otherwise, you're going to have a little situation like this, which is fine. I'm planning on using these right away, but I wanted to give you examples. Or if you don't keep the name, you still have beautiful pictures of plants. And look at some of the bits, your offcuts, and you can have other little trimmings as well. So don't forget to cut for focal points and things like that in your ephemera. Next. So here is another little flippy that I made. So I wanted to keep the information of the plant with it. So with some careful cutting, especially a book like this, although the photos are lined up on one side and everything is lined up the same. So you could cut your pictures off and still have the information about them. So this is for asparagus, for example. This would be perfect to go together right here as a little flip. And then you could add some journaling space. So I had to cut this one in pieces because it wouldn't fit properly and it had information above and below. But that's a simple way to basically do the same thing. So that is an option. I can show you how to do that really quick. I think I could get all 3 of these here just about, not quite. See how this is a little offset? So if I cut this apart, then I'd have these 3 separate, because if you look at it, you're going to have to make choices. Which page do you want? Which pictures do you want? That's always the problem with these fun friends, is which side do you like better? Which side can you get the most out of? Like those types of things. So that's where you have to start making some decisions. But that's what I did. I would take a text block and then the photo that corresponded with it. And then I would have decisions to make about which pieces of ephemera I wanted. And I could pull as much as possible from the remainder of the pages. So that's another option. Then here's another variation on that as well. So the same thing, but I had more space to work with my flower pictures. So this became like that. So this is 2 pieces glued together, and then this can get glued into a journal. And then I just decorated it, and it's got a little tab that flips up. So there's another little example of that. Then this one, which you could do the same thing with these, this is a field style little pocket as well. And it could be a floating pocket or could be attached. This one I kept the information for the plant on the back side of it, added a few little stamps, added some little scraps, and that's about it. But then we have a nice little pocket here too. And that same thing, I cut one section, they were lined up pretty well, and I was able to trim it down so that I could utilize both sides on that one. Then if you have some other leftovers, these pictures are going to be great for journaling cards. So as an example, like this. So that's a journaling card that could slide in. This could get some more decoration. I left this side wider because I was like, I might want to be able to pull it out of a pocket. I want it just peeking, something like that. So just these backed on a piece of scrap. And you have a beautiful journaling card. You could add more to it if you wanted to, but you don't have to. So there's another little option. So journaling cards. I have some more pocket journaling things to go with these. So plant information, and then I had my picture. So I made 2 of them. So I made 2 things out of it. So I had a pocket, and then I have the flower that goes along with it. Super fun, super cute. Then I'll have another option. I had a bigger picture like this, and I put the information on the journaling cards. And these are still journaling cards that you can have in your pocket, but they still have all the information about the plant itself. And this is columbine, and I love it. So that could go in there, and then you have space for journaling. All right, next, a little booklet. So once again, find some picture. So here's what it was in the book. Okay, and there's the inside. I left it because it was pretty the way it was, but a little notebook to tuck into your journal. And then I just found some scraps that coordinated and I thought were interesting that could be written on or added to other places in the book. So finding an image like that in here, let's go back away from, are we in our plant section already? I think we are. Let's see. Yeah, these are all beautiful, beautiful plants in here. Ground covers, can you imagine? So pretty. All right, so let's see if we can find, so that's beautiful. Ground covers and grasses, pretty. Let's see if we can find a fun image to make. Okay, he's cool, she's cool, he, she, doesn't matter, they're cool. Find something for a little book. This one is a little bit more challenging. I did show you what we could do with those grasses. They still make good background, especially background pages. You don't always find those in books, so that's kind of nice to see. I see some here. Okay, so perfect. So we could make little notebooks out of this. We could make some of those other little, I had a tutorial on how to make some other little books. These images would be fantastic for that kind of stuff, especially these, because then you could have them folded almost completely in half, and you could have some nice green background on either side of your little book. So that would be an option, and that would work good for both inside and outside. So this is what I'm talking about here. So this would look great. Then you can cut them down to whatever size you want for your journal. And then the inside, still super fun to have. So you would have that as well. So that's another option. And next, I made this fun dude. I'm gonna see if it's too shiny to show you. So this guy, it was in the pest section, the helpful pests, or not helpful pests, but I made a journaling card out of him and made it like a field style thing. And this is like a little lanyard kind of pocket, but you could do these with your acetate or whatever. It was just here and it was perfect. and then we can add some ribbon and tie it in someplace or whatever, or just have it tucked into a pocket. It's super cute. So the bug pictures. So remember those pests that we saw in here? I know there were somewhere. See if we can find them quick. Here we go. So these are lawn pests. So you could make some fun little specimen cards out of those. So we have ants, and then they have some information. Those could be fun to add. We have all kinds of fun little things, and maybe I'll do like a little extra tutorial on some of these things because I just don't have time to show you all the things that I pulled from this book, and I'm still pulling from these style books. So there's another one, making a little like specimen card or something like that. And you could do the same thing with the plants too. I'm so worried he's gonna come over and nibble on me because every once in a while he nips. Pixie the bun, what are you doing? Hi. Getting into my garbage. Naughty pants. No stealing. Naughty bunny. What was I saying? Oh, we can use the, where did they go? These, I think they were the weeds, wherever they went. I thought they were this way. Maybe they're this way? Negative. This way. Why can't I find them now? Because they were perfect for making these too. And now I can't seem to find them in here. But you can just start to see like all the different things that you can come up with in these books once you start looking at them a little bit differently. Maybe they were more this way. I thought they were in. Why can't I find them now? Oh, here we go. So these would also make great little specimen cards. So if you can imagine taking one of these little weed sections, and then you can add their little description box along with them. And I think that I'm gonna do that. If you want to see me do that on camera, where I'm filming it and showing how I make a bunch of these, maybe mass make a bunch, have a little craft and chat and mass make some little specimen card things like this, or similar to this, or with some other ideas, let me know. I'd love to hear that. So leave a comment. Let me know what you think. All right, so the last one I wanted to share, which I just thought of right before I sat down to record. Now I want to find that page because there was a specific page in here that I was like, that's perfect. We're going to use that. Wherever it, this page. Okay. So you have this gorgeous picture here and you're not quite sure what to do with it. So we're going to lose the back on this one. It is just going to happen. And I want a nice straight edge. So I'm going to cut this one out. And that's the other thing. If you don't want to tear your pages, you can just cut them out too like this. And then you just cut a bunch at a time. It's fine. You do what you feel you want to do. All right, so this is the picture I'm going to use from this book. And let me move this stuff out of the way because I need a nice flat space for what I'm going to do with this. You stay there. You go over here. Because this is the one that's in this. And these are kind of more like wildflowers that will look really nice with my field style journal. But I want to see what the perennial page looks like because I know it is also really pretty. Because a bunch of these perennials are actually originally like wildflowers and things as well. So here is that page. So this is gorgeous. So I'm going to use this as well. So I'm pulling both of those. Set this book off to the side. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this and make this basically into a piece of stationery. So this is the back, or this is the front, obviously, but we're going to add paper onto the other side of these to make them into more of like a stationery. So here's what I'm doing with this. I'm going to look at how big I need this to be and trim it down. So it's just a little bit smaller than the other. Now, do I want this? Because this is my beautiful piece of paper. This lace was perfect. Do I want the words or do I want the flowers? I kind of like the peaks of green, so I think we're gonna do that. And then on this one, I think we'll just do something here maybe. Let me see. I have this. I am strictly pulling stuff from my scrap bins lately because I really want to focus on scraps and using up my scraps. So let's do this one first. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put this friend here, and this is gonna be made into more of a writing surface that can be utilized in our book. So it'll get folded to get tucked into an envelope or a pocket. And that is a simple way to use some of these really big, beautiful book pages that you're not quite sure what to do with. So that is well glued, and I know we went way past where we needed to. So I'm gonna just take that, and I know I arranged it differently, but it's fine. I'm leaving the rough edge on this piece of book page because also our paper that we're putting down is kind of irregular as well. So now I'm going to tear this bit here, and then we're going to add it, and I'm going to see if I can find another piece of packing paper or something that we can add on. And we don't have to cover the whole page, but we'll see. What else do I have? I probably could have looked at that a little bit better, but here's my little bin because I pulled some stuff to match my journal. So there's probably something, I'm looking for a thinner style paper too. I have a lot of thicker stuff in here, but I want some thinner paper. So I think this is thinner and it's kind of interesting. So we're gonna go with that. We're gonna do it. So I'm going to put this like this. Okay, so here we go. So you saw I made a quick change on this one. I added some ink behind there because I wanted it to stand out behind that lace a little bit more. So this one I want to dry a little bit before I do anything with it. But here's what is going to happen. And I don't want to do much with this because I don't know what size I want it folded yet. But basically this is going to be folded to be able to go into a pocket. So basically, we just made a really fancy piece of stationery that's absolutely gorgeous. Or imagine mailing a letter that you write to a friend on one of these. These big images would be great for so many things. I mean, that is just absolutely gorgeous. So that's what I'm going to do with this. It's going to get folded up to get tucked into probably a field style journal. I might actually use both of them because they're so pretty. Maybe we'll distress the edges. You'll see these again. How about that? So that's what we got. So what all did I come up with from one type of book that I bought for $3? Okay. And I could still keep going, but this is what I did so far before I was like, okay, this is a lot already. So large piece of stationery or a backed piece for whatever you want to do. So 1, sample cards, notebook, so that's 3, and then I don't know how to categorize these. Pockets, various pockets, and so pockets, so would be 1, okay, 1, 2, 3. I was trying to count. I'm not going to count. I'm just going to say here's a bunch of examples at this point. So another style pocket, journaling card, another style pocket, a little flip up that you can glue into a journal that can also be a pocket. Same, flip, that can be a pocket with journaling space. Envelope, beautiful, gorgeous envelope. Seed packet style envelope. Book page, book page. And of course, another style book page. Then don't forget our words, cutting out words and text from your books to add to your ephemera, and cutting as focal points. I feel like I'm missing something. Oh, your fly leaf. Don't forget that great piece of fly leaf that you have. So fly leaf, and then extra paper to use to stencil or whatever you want to do. You got blank white paper. Okay, so that is a ton of stuff that you can just pull from one book and not even done yet. So think about your books, think about them differently, take a peek at them. Use your junk journaler eyes and find the amazing stuff that's in every single book that might have been inexpensive. So, or free, you know, that's another thing. If you find free books or something, use them. Find the tidbits that you can use in them. But that is one style book. So these are some gardening books from Time Life that I'm getting all of this amazing stuff out of. So if you have questions, please let me know. Comments, suggestions, things you want me to go into more in depth, other ideas that you'd like to see with these style books. I'm probably going to start doing a bunch of things where it's a type of book I have, and I'm going to show you some various ways to use some of the things in it that you wouldn't necessarily think about doing. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it's inspiring you to make something, do something, free your mind, and art with your heart. You have a great day. Bye now.